Hello YouTubers! Today I wanted to show you and explain another feature of SmartBridge, which is the chord progressions that it contains. This is what you could imagine. You open Cubase, you have a clean slate and you have to produce something and you don't know where to go. Where do I start? Where do I go from here? So what I did, I found a open source database that is called Chord Omnicon, very strange name, and it's a database that contains literally huge amount of chord progressions, and these are in the terms of genres and ages and times. It's a huge database. So what I did with that, I first of all added the modality or reharmonization, as it's called, for each chord. And I got that through another database that contained all of that. So I have now the musical theory, you could say, behind all of these typical chord progressions. And then on top of that, I added what's called an intro, verse, pre-chorus, and chorus, meaning it has to have a commencing start, the chorus must be bigger, and so on. So I took all of that data, the reharmonizations with typical changes, the sections, and with the help of AI, I created a set of chords in SmartBridge. So you have about 500-ish chords to choose from, chord progressions. And they are, as I explained, in intro, verse, pre-chorus, and chorus. The whole idea is that you should quite quickly and easy get your inspiration started. So what do I mean by that? Well, you can open Jam Player, and this is the Jam Player Tyrus edition, and you can, for instance, pick a ballad. Then you pick something that is along the lines on the same BPM as the style that you want to use. Now I'm using 80s smooth ballad that is in the BPM of 87. So the idea when I created this is that this chord progression now, you can either choose just to play it, and it starts using the chord engine. And as you can see, I'm mapping variation A to the intro, variation B to the chorus, and so on. So I've done the mapping, and beyond that I've also added the ability that in the last bar, which is coming up now, it creates a fill-in. So the whole idea was to quickly be able to audition a typical song progression. So let's example say that I want to just work with the chorus. It is now playing the variation D. And so on. But it doesn't stop there. So instead of this blank canvas, I'll remove that for now. Don't need to save that. And then what I've done now is I've created a template. In that template, it's set up so it has the intro, verse, and chorus. A very simple structure, nothing special about it, and a little bit of a count in. And I've already created the style channels and the song channels for the motif. Sorry, for the Tyrus. And on the style engines, I've already mapped the typical ones. So what do I do with all of this? Let's use the same BPM, 87. And let's say now that I want to use this chorus, which I like, in my composition. What I do is I right click, I choose a variation, and then I choose what kind of fill-in it's going to play. Click on record. And as you can hear, the chords match very well with the ballad style. And it's in. what I mean by that? What I mean by that is now you can, as I said on the text there, recording complete, drag to export. All I do now is drag it, bang, there we go. So we have the full composition. Oh, it should be on the right. There we go. And so on. So the idea was to just create something quickly and to get you started. What about the chords? Well, if you also want to get the chords, because you don't want to be switching around here, what you do then is that you take these, bring up to the chords, you right click and let Cubase create the chords for you. Great. Now, here are the chords. So you can continue working with this progression, and you can continue adding and removing and working with stuff the way you really feel like it. So the other thing, the power of this, is that you can of course combine. So in this case, in key of C, I've done the whispering ballads. Let's say I do enjoy that, but I want to enjoy, there's another one that I like called the Echo Reviews. It has a very nice, now let's pick another one. There, Captured by Affection in Ballad. I like the verse on this. So let's say that I like the verse. Oh, but it's in the wrong key. No problem. Let's switch it to the correct key. Let's say, oh, I like this. This is really good. All I need to do then, and let's take a break. It'll be funnier. Here comes the break. Same procedure. For the fun of it, let's just remove this and put it into the verse and remove that as well. There we go. Drag it in and drag the chords. Create the chord events. So now, by combining two different songs, I've got myself an intro and a verse. So that's the power of working with the chord progressions. And that's just scratching the surface. I mean, you can literally combine all of these categories the way you choose and fit. The only difference on them is that I've added, again, using the music theory, the typical changes that they use. Let me give you the last example, which is Latin, which is a very special category. So let's pick a Latin song. Let's do something, this one is really nice. And then pick a Latin over here and do there is a pop bops that I like. And let's listen to it and you'll understand what I mean, that it uses the classic Latin American style of chords. Here, it actually combines the cadence with the tonica, up and down. And the cool thing is that you can choose any other and still enjoy the product. Let me give you an example. Let's do that one. Here you have the typical sort of chord changes that happen in the Latin music. Sometimes, as you can hear here, the problem is that the BPM is 90, but the actual style is 133. So sometimes it doesn't match that well. There are two ways around that. You can either slow down the actual timing or use another progression instead. So that, all in all, was just to show you the power of using the chord progressions to get you quickly started and creating a song. Thank you very much for today.